Yeah, I just wanted to welcome everyone on behalf of WAPA. I'm Carter, I'm president of WAPA. We have Bill on here. Bill is the treasurer, and he helped spearhead EV Week, which is what we're doing for Earth Day. I mentioned this yesterday in the Kia event, but we have some new people here. We just want to acknowledge that we're changing our approach to meetings because of the situation, and we really appreciate Hyundai helping us out on that front and being flexible and getting their message out there. We know people are looking for content more now than ever, and we're really glad that we can help provide that. So that's all that I had. I wanted to pass it off to Derek.
Yeah. All right. Well, great. We're excited about today. Good afternoon, WAPA members, and welcome to Hyundai's Electrification Future webinar. It looks like we've got, there we go. It looks like we've got a great crowd today. So thank you very much for your interest and attendance, and we're going to try to make it as informative and enjoyable as possible. I'm Derek Joyce. I'm the Senior Manager of Product and Advanced Powertrain PR for Hyundai, and we think you'll really enjoy today. Gil Castillo is our Senior Group Manager of Alternative and Advanced Vehicle Strategy. He's our core presenter today on our electrification future. So let me give you a little background on Gil. Gil is responsible for the company's exploration into new vehicle segments, including those with alternative powertrain technologies. He's also responsible for the strategic planning for the company's future line of vehicles in the United States. Castillo led the successful introduction and launch of the Hyundai Tucson fuel cell vehicle, the very first production fuel cell vehicle sold in the United States. Castillo graduated from Stanford University and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Product Design Engineering. And on the weekends, you can always count on Gil having some fun and in his various vehicles. I think one of his favorites is his Alfa Romeo Spider. So a true enthusiast. I want to introduce the other members of our team today present. Some of them are in the background, silenced microphone, but we have Jim Trainer, our head of department. We've got Brandon Ramirez, our Senior Group Manager of Product PR, and you've already been chatting with Lori Schultz, who handles our launch events and our fleet management, and that you enjoy driving around Washington. So in just a minute, we're going to kick off with Gil's presentation, but let me include a few logistics for you. First of all, whoever's not speaking, please mute your microphones. That's really going to help. As you know, these microphones pick up everything and it can really disrupt the presentation. So that's in the bottom left corner of your screen. You'll see the mute button, and you just click that and it'll put a red line through it. Immediately after the full presentation with Gil, we'll move into a full Q&A session. This will be the formal Q&A. If you have small questions as we move along, I can try to answer those via the chat button, which is in the middle of the bottom of your screen. But save the big questions for the formal Q&A, because you may be helping out someone else who has the same questions. And you know, they're going to be able to benefit from that, and also just less disruptive to the overall presentation. During that time, if you look in the bottom right, there's a button called Reactions. And during the Q&A, if you want to ask a question, just click that, and it'll give me a signal. It'll raise a hand, and I can call on you. Then you can unmute your mic, and then you can ask your question. That way, we keep some order during the Q&A. So yeah, I mentioned just save the big questions for the formal Q&A. The entire presentation, everyone's always eager to take notes on these. You know, we're going to provide this entire presentation online at HyundaiNews.com after this presentation. So we'll share that address, but it's HyundaiNews.com. And so you're going to be able to download this if you miss any particular notes. So don't worry too much about taking all those notes. I think we've covered all the logistics. Without further ado, let's move on with Gil Castillo, our Senior Group Manager of Advanced Vehicle Strategy. Thanks, Gil.
Great. Derek and everyone, thank you for having me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm just going to start off with kind of the big picture, and then we'll talk about our 2020 lineup. So on this page, I just wanted to highlight that obviously the environmental challenges remain the same in terms of climate change, air quality, energy security. And in regards to air quality, you could actually argue that the pandemic that we're dealing with now has actually increased interest in air quality. People comment about the fact that the air is remarkably cleaner now that there's less cars on the road, and more than likely people are going to want to keep that condition as we move forward. Now, we've also seen a number of countries take a stand banning internal combustion engines, some as early as 2025. In fact, California's Air Researchers Board is talking about banning internal combustion engines now as early as 2035. So certainly something to think about. And in return, we know that OEMs are responding with different energy or different strategies, including Hyundai Motor Group, which plans to introduce 44 eco-friendly vehicles globally by 2025. Okay, next. So with that in mind, there are some ways that Hyundai's strategy is unique to the industry. Some companies, including Hyundai, will focus on improving internal combustion engines through better efficiency. And of course, we're going to introduce different levels of electrification, including hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and battery electrics. But Hyundai also remains focused on hydrogen fuel cell as the other clean mobility solution. So I'm just going to talk about that a little bit more. Go ahead, next. So what this chart shows are all the different forms of transportation solutions classified by their size and travel distance. If we're serious about reducing or eliminating all transportation-related greenhouse gas, we'll need to adopt different solutions for all the different vehicle types, light duty, heavy duty, commercial, I mean, all the way up to aircraft and, of course, big boats. In other words, battery EVs for smaller vehicles, fuel cell EVs for larger vehicles, and possibly even synthetic fuels for the largest transportation forms. Okay, next. So with that in mind, these two graphs here compare a system cost for a battery electric and a fuel cell electric to driving range. As you can see on the graph to the left for passenger vehicles, there's a relatively wide driving range where both battery and fuel cell system costs are similar. This is what we call the equivalent range. And this equivalent range is constantly changing. It's shifting to the left or to the right as both battery and fuel cell technologies improve. Now, compare that with the equivalent range for the larger, heavier commercial vehicles on the graph to the right. Here you can see that there's a clear system cost benefit for a fuel cell over a battery electric beyond a certain driving range. And this is due primarily to the lower energy density and greater weight of batteries, which play a much bigger role as the vehicles get much bigger. Okay, next. So most individuals don't think of Hyundai as an eco leader. However, aside from being one of the top fuel economy brands in the nation, Hyundai was also the first automaker to offer all four forms of electrified propulsion: hybrid, plug-in hybrid, battery electric, and fuel cell. Okay. And it doesn't stop there. In the US, Hyundai will introduce or increase its electrified lineup from 6 models now in 2020 to 13 models by 2023, and they'll encompass a range of electrification as well as different vehicle segments. Okay, next. So to support our electrification expansion, Hyundai has partnered with a number of leading companies. This includes Rimac to collaborate on high-performance BEVs and fuel cells, Arrival, which is a British company focused on battery electric commercial vehicles, and also Canoe, which is a local Southern California company where we're jointly developing an EV skateboard platform. Okay, go ahead. So now that I've kind of given you a very quick overview, kind of the big picture, I'd like to give an update on our 2020 electrified model lineup. And I'm going to start with the revised Ioniq Electric. Okay. So Ioniq remains the world's first vehicle to offer 3 electrified powertrains: hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and electric. And for 2020, it's been enhanced with updated styling as well as new safety features. Okay. But really, the big change is on the Ioniq electric version. As you can see here, the driving range is actually increased to 170 miles, which represents an improvement of 46 miles over the 2019 version. This has been accomplished by using a larger 38.3 kilowatt hour battery, which is an increase of 10.3 kilowatts from the previous unit. And in addition, a 100 kilowatt electric motor has replaced the previous 88 kilowatt motor for improved performance. Other changes include a larger 7.7 kilowatt onboard charger, which allows the Ioniq Electric to charge in 6 hours and 5 minutes, which is pretty quick for level 2. As you can see here, Ioniq Electric remains one of the most fuel-efficient vehicles sold in the US with 33 mpge. Okay. What this page here shows is just a comparison to the 3 electrified versions of Ioniq, including their respective engine performance, their driving range, and efficiency. The idea here, of course, is that Ioniq offers a propulsion system that meets the needs of all the different consumers, depending on whether you're focused on just saving gasoline money for the hybrid, or whether you want a combination of gas and electric for plug-in, and of course, whether you want to go completely gas-free on the electric. Now, for the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid, the powertrains are mostly carryover from the previous model year, but I do want to bring your attention to the Ioniq Hybrid, which does remain the highest fuel efficiency model of any non-plug-in vehicle, offering a combined 58 miles per gallon. Okay. Very quickly, we're going to segue into the all-new Sonata Hybrid. So the 2020 Sonata was introduced earlier this year to rave reviews, and it's an awesome vehicle. The 2020 Sonata Hybrid will actually reach dealers in June. Okay. So the all-new Sonata Hybrid features a revised 2-liter GDI gasoline direct injection engine, along with a revised 38 kilowatt electric motor, as well as an improved 6-speed automatic transmission, which has been enhanced for greater control and fuel efficiency gains. Okay. Now, in terms of performance, you can see here how the new Sonata Hybrid compares with the previous Sonata, as well as with its mid-size competition. The 2020 Sonata is in light blue, and it's the second column. You can see here that in terms of performance, it's very similar to the previous Sonata, and it compares very favorably with the competition in terms of electric motor output and net horsepower. But really, what we want to focus on is the fuel economy. As you can see, the Sonata Hybrid offers segment-leading, top-of-its-class 52 miles per gallon combined in the blue and 47 miles per gallon combined on the SEL Unlimited trim. So a significant improvement over the previous Elantra, but also a very good improvement versus the competition. Okay. The all-new Sonata Hybrid also offers the segment's first solar roof system. This is basically a solar panel that directly charges both the 12-volt and the hybrid batteries, and can offer up to 3 miles of electric driving range per day. Obviously, it depends on whether or not you have a sunny day or not, but basically 3 miles of free range is what you're getting with this system. The solar roof system can also reduce battery discharge when using the infotainment or the HVAC system when the engine is off. So another added benefit. Okay. Now, briefly, we're going to just talk about the 2020 Kona Electric. So for 2020, the Kona Electric retains the same battery and electric motor from the 2019 model. As you can see on these 2 tables, the Kona Electric compares actually very favorably with its revised competition, the longer range Bolt and the longer range Leaf S Plus. At 258 miles, the range in the Kona Electric is essentially the same as the Bolt, but still significantly better than the Leaf S Plus at only 226. You can also see here that the Kona Electric is much more efficient. consuming only 27 kilowatt hours per mile compared to 29 for the Bolt and 31 for the Leaf S Plus. Also, you could see how the Kona Electric also offers different charging solutions in terms of DC fast charge and AC level 2 charging. And also the DC fast charge is standard on the Kona while it still remains an option on the Bolt. So overall, the Kona actually is kind of a best in its class when it comes to all-around EV performance in this segment. Okay. One thing that is new on the 2020 Kona Electric is the addition of a battery heating system to prevent long battery charging times in winter or whenever there are cold temperatures. This is accomplished through the use of a PTC heater, which heats the battery coolant during charging. In addition, the battery heater can also improve vehicle driving range and efficiency in cold climates by preconditioning the cabin when the PTC heater is, or when the vehicle is plugged in. Okay, go ahead. And finally, we have the 2020 Nexo fuel cell, which is Hyundai's green technology flagship. So for those of you who aren't familiar with fuel cell technology, a fuel cell generates electricity from hydrogen through an electrochemical process that does not involve any combustion or any moving parts. Water and heat is really the only byproduct. I believe the PR team has a short video that'll actually better explain the fuel cell technology on our Nexo. So I'll hand it over to PR.
Hi everyone, I'm Lana Titus and I'm here with Jerome Grejois, and he is a very important guy here at Hyundai. Tell us what you do.
I'm a senior manager for the Hyundai Technical Center, and I work on powertrains.
And today you're going to talk to us about something very specific, the Nexo. It's powered by hydrogen, but it's actually electric. Can you break that down for us?
That's correct. We call it a fuel cell electric vehicle. So it is a electric vehicle, an electric motor drives the wheels, but instead of storing its electricity in the form of a battery, it has a power plant that's next to us. What it does is it's creating its electricity real time on demand through an electrochemical process.
Got it. So you're saying the vehicle doesn't require a bunch of heavy batteries to operate?
So yes, electric vehicles are storing their energy in batteries, and the batteries can be large, they can be heavy, they can be expensive, and instead of using those large batteries, we have 3 tanks in the Nexo that store compressed hydrogen, and those tanks are small enough that we do not need to intrude into the cargo space or the passenger space inside the vehicle.
All right, Jerome, so how does the Nexo convert hydrogen into electricity and move the Nexo down the road?
All right, so you're looking at the heart of the vehicle, which is what's unique with fuel cell vehicle, is the power plant that will make electricity on demand as you need it. The way it works is it brings the hydrogen from the tanks that are at the back of the vehicle, and when the hydrogen goes into the stack, which is the centerpiece here, it splits into protons and electrons. And the protons are small enough that they will cross a membrane and meet with oxygen and create water, which is the one byproduct. And the electrons will go on their way to create an electric current, and that current will basically provide electricity to the electric motor. The electric motor will drive the wheels and will produce 291 foot-pound of torque, which is excellent for effortless acceleration.
That will definitely get you on those California freeways.
Yes, you'll have no problem going on ramp and beat traffic into the couple lane.
Okay, Jerome, so what exactly am I looking at here? How does the fuel stack convert hydrogen into electricity?
So what you're looking at is what we call the power plant. This is the assembly that creates the electricity on demand as you need it. And the centerpiece here is what we call the stack. This is where the hydrogen will basically split and create electricity and water. The electricity will make its way up to the top box over here that's called a junction box, and then it will go through that large orange cable down to the inverter, which will control the motor at the bottom. From that point point, it's exactly the same setup as a battery electric vehicle. The difference is that instead of bringing that energy from a battery, we make it here up top next to the motor on demand as you need it.
All right, Jerome, let's talk about the hydrogen tanks.
Yes, so we talked about how do we store the energy, how do we store the hydrogen, and then we had 3 tanks that are in the back of the vehicle, so you can easily see 2 of them here, and there's a third one that's kind of back in this region.
So how much do these tanks hold and how far can they get me?
The tanks contain 14 pounds of hydrogen. It's about 6.3 kilogram. If you wanted to have a battery that contains as much energy, you would have to have a 2,000-pound battery. And that's where you get some energy savings because you don't have to carry all that weight as you're driving. This is enough energy to get you 380 miles, and you can refuel those tanks in less than 5 minutes, which is what you would have to compare to about an hour if you were fast charging a battery with the same energy.
Jerome, this has been very insightful. Thank you so much for taking the time today to explain to myself and everyone how the fuel cell stack works in the Hyundai Nexo.
All right. Thank you, Lana.
Thank you.
Okay, that was a great video. So what I want to just share with you now here on this page is we're comparing the Nexo to our previous fuel cell vehicle, the Tucson fuel cell, which was introduced back in 2014. As you can see, there have been a number of improvements to the fuel cell stack, its performance and efficiency. One of the things to note is in terms of efficiency, Nexo operates at 60%. The Tucson fuel cell was 55%. However, 60% is significant when you compare it to an internal combustion engine, which averages around 25% efficiency. Also, the Nexo carries about 14 pounds or 6.5 kilograms of hydrogen fuel. And that hydrogen fuel is located and stored on 3 tanks, which are on the rear of the vehicle, as you can see through the diagram image on the lower left side. So combined, Nexo offers 61 miles per gallon MPGe and a driving range of 380 miles on the blue and 354 miles on the limited trim. Okay. One of the often overlooked benefits of a fuel cell vehicle is actually their ability to clean and purify the air. Using a 3-step process, Nexo can filter microparticles smaller than what we call PM 2.5 or 2.5 microns. So this is done through a 3-step process where the air passes through an air filter, then a humidifier, and then finally through the gas diffusion layer within the fuel cell stack. I believe there's a short video that kind of emphasizes this benefit, which I think we're going to show you just now. So as you can see here, soot-like particles are being put into a big plastic bag. The air goes through the engine room through this 3-step process, and then all that is exhausted is the clean air as shown with that clear bubble back there. Okay. So Nexo is also is the only fuel cell vehicle in the market right now to receive a top safety awards, including the IIHS top safety pick, as well as the 5 stars from Euro NCAP. In addition, the hydrogen tanks in the Nexo are inch-thick composite tanks that undergo a series of destructive tests to ensure that there's no leakage during a crash event. This includes burst testing, burn testing, whether it's set on fire, drop testing, different chemical testing, gunshot, where actually different caliber guns are fired at the tanks to ensure there's no penetration, and of course, low temperature testing. Okay. Oh, and then finally, there's one little more humorous video on the Nexo here.
The desert, a place where legends are born and lost. A barren wasteland where the brave come to push themselves and their vehicles to the limits. Drivers and their chariots utilize state-of-the-art technology to achieve speeds for the record books. Today, One man traverses this challenging terrain in a vehicle powered by hydrogen, emitting nothing more than pure water. The 2016 Hyundai Tucson Fuel Cell, a mass production SUV powered by hydrogen. If this lake bed was 265 miles long, the Tucson fuel cell could traverse it on a single fill, and it would take less than 5 minutes to refuel. Today, the Tucson fuel cell set a speed record for a production fuel cell SUV with a top speed of 94.6 miles per hour. It did so with zero emissions and even returned a bit of pure water vapor back to this arid landscape. Even though our record today was a short drive, the Tucson fuel cell has already provided over 800,000 miles of emissions-free driving to families in Southern California. Another world's first from Hyundai.
So I hope you enjoyed that. That was kind of funny. You can only imagine how much faster the Nexo is. So in addition to light-duty vehicles, Hyundai's also developed heavy-duty fuel cell trucks, including the Class 8 H2 Exient fuel cell truck, which actually went into production last year and is already being delivered to the Swiss commercial market. Unfortunately, I don't have an image of that, but I'm sure it can be found on our PR website. So through a joint venture with H2 Energy, there are plans to deliver 1,600 trucks in Switzerland by 2025. Also, as you can see on this page, Hyundai presented the Neptune concept last year. This is a concept for our next fuel cell heavy-duty commercial truck. Aside from Switzerland, Hyundai is also studying other heavy-duty commercial markets, including the US, for potential application of our heavy-duty fuel cell vehicles. Okay. So all this fuel cell activity is part of Hyundai's greater vision, which is entitled Vision 2030, which calls for upwards of 700,000 fuel cell systems by 2030, of which around 500,000 will go to fuel cell vehicles. So to reach this target will require fuel cell expansion beyond traditional automotive, as you can imagine. An example of this expansion is the recent Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, that was signed between Hyundai Motors, Hyundai Construction Equipment, and Hyundai Mobis for the joint development of hydrogen fuel cell construction equipment. Together, these three companies will look to develop hydrogen-powered forklifts and medium and large capacity hydrogen-powered excavators over the next couple of years. Okay. So all this is possible due to Hyundai's industry-leading fuel cell design, which features advanced and highly efficient technology, a proven durability and safety, as well as mass production capability. One last bit on hydrogen. So recently, the California Fuel Cell Partnership held a webinar to provide an update on the state of fuel cell vehicles and hydrogen stations in California. If you're not familiar, I would highly encourage everyone to visit the California Fuel Cell Partnership for all the latest information. For those of you who don't know, California has funding in place for 100 hydrogen stations here in California, and they also have an executive order to build 200 stations by 2025, and ultimately a vision to build upwards of 1,000 stations by 2030. Okay. As of April 1st, there are over 8,000 fuel cell vehicles that have been sold or leased here in California, and there are 42 fuel cell buses currently in operation, and 41 hydrogen stations open for consumers. In addition, there's another 18 hydrogen stations currently under development, of which we expect maybe 5 to 8 will be open this year. So that pretty much concludes my presentation, and I very much appreciate everyone for listening.
Thank you very much, Gil. That was excellent.